So, let's be real on IO Interactive and the absolute nightmare that is 007 First Light. Honestly, the developers woke up one random Monday and decided, you know what? Let's take one of the most culturally inflated, legendary, and historically thorny franchises in human history and just reinvent James Bond. No pressure, right? Totally normal and healthy behavior for a studio that was just finishing up their little indie upgrade after breaking away from the shackles of Square Enix. Probably one of the smartest things a company can do when it's entangled with Square Enix. Welcome to another chapter of Behind the Code. They have Hitman. They have talent, ambition, and apparently, the kind of audacity that borders on clinical insanity. Because instead of playing it safe and doing what every other studio already have, which is just licensing a famous face and slapping a 007 logo on a generic shooter, they turned to the Bond rights holders and essentially said, forget the old actors, forget the baggage, we're making our own Bond. Making me wonder, why don't you make your own AAA game with an MC who is alcoholic, a womanizer, and a shooting psychopath instead of buying the license? But I guess that the costs and publicity would have been too high just to reach to the public. Their level of confidence is either legendary or, quite frankly, a cry for professional help. But against all odds, they actually made it. The entire studio became completely obsessed with one very specific, very stressful question. How do we make Bond feel like the real Bond without making him just another hitman in tuxedo? It's a valid concern, because let's be real, Agent 47 is essentially a bald, cold-blooded sociopath who moves with mechanical precision. Bond is the opposite. He's emotional, arrogant, incredibly impulsive. He goes around crashing luxury vehicles when he's having a bad day. He flirts in the middle of a shooting and survives massive explosions before going to the bar, asking for a martini. It's something else entirely, and IO Interactive had to rebuild their entire internal infrastructure just to capture that specific brand of cinematic chaos. Their Glacier engine? Completely dismantled and heavily upgraded. The facial animations? Given a massive upgrade, so our boy Agent 007 doesn't look like a drooling mannequin. Let's make a stop here and hit that like button and subscribe. Let's talk about the vehicles now, because this is where it gets hilarious. IO Interactive had literally never made a drivable car before. They were experts at making people walk in patterns through different environments, but not navigating high-speed chases through the streets of Rome. They had to go out and hire outside developers just to teach them how to make things move at 200 kilometers per hour without crashing the engine or the player's expectations. Then there's the combat redesign. In Hitman, if you start shooting, the game basically acts like you just failed kindergarten, spoiling the whole fun. In 007 First Light, Bond has to look good while he's causing problems. They built a custom, stylish combat system that's less efficient but more action movie-like. And because they're apparently trying to be cultured, the game includes a morality system where Bond essentially refuses to shoot unarmed people. It turns the character into something a bit more nuanced than a generic action movie psychopath, which is honestly kind of elegant for a game that's essentially a playground for blowing things up. Then we have the casting drama. Instead of going for a familiar figure, they tapped Patrick Gibson to play a younger, rougher, and significantly more crude Bond. He's not our refined, alcoholic icon yet. He's a man who has no idea he's about to become emotionally impaired for the rest of his life. It's a classic origin story. They even reworked the entire MI6 support cast to match this new, fresher energy. Moneypenny is brilliant and actually does work. Q is giving absolute genius uncle energy, and M has been swapped for a younger, more supportive figure who isn't just there to act like a disappointed British grandmother. And let's not talk about the soundtrack. They've treated the music like it's a religious text. A theme song from Lana Del Rey, produced by the legendary David Arnold. IO Interactive is out here serving pure drama, elegance, and deliberate emotional damage. The wildest part is that they've been juggling this high-stakes project while secretly building a massive fantasy RPG in the background. Like, excuse me, do these people actually sleep? Or do they just run on pure caffeine and the sheer ego of wanting to conquer every genre in existence? When they pushed the release date from March to May 27th, 2026, for an extra polish, the entire gaming world knew exactly what that meant. They are currently in a state of professional panic because the original version was likely full of bugs and glitches and was unplayable. But look, 007 First Light isn't just a Bond game in the traditional sense anymore. It's IO Interactive's desperate, ambitious, and utterly spectacular attempt to prove they are more than just the Hitman studio. This is their total glow-up, their rebellious arc, and their official Hollywood moment. If nail it with this game, which would probably happen, they are going to be the permanent home of James Bond for the next decade. And honestly, watching them try to pull it off is the most interesting thing happening in gaming right now. Honestly, I would love to see it. This would be the video for today. Subscribe and hit that like button. It would really help me. Do you think this First Light would dethrone the legendary GoldenEye 64 as the best James Bond game? Write your answer in the comments. I'll read you below. Bye.